Hello everybody. Today we'll start a new chapter of class 12. The chapter 2, Sexual Reproduction in Flowering Plants. We'll discuss this chapter in 7 sessions and today it is the first session, and in this session we'll discuss flower, a fascinating organ of angiosperms, 3 fertilization events in which we'll discuss the structures and events like stamens, microsporangium and pollen grains. So these are the 7 sessions what we are going to discuss in the 7 sessions. So today I am going to start the topic, that is flower, a fascinating organ of angiosperm, 3 fertilization structures and events, stamen, microsporangium and pollen grains, structure of microsporangium, microsporogenesis, pollen grain, viability of pollen grains. Okay, so let us um, know what you will be able to know at the end of this session. You will be able to define a flower. You can draw and label various parts of flowers. You can differentiate between the male and female reproductive structure of flower. You can differentiate between pre-fertilization events and structures. You will be able to draw and label stamen, microsporangium and pollen grains. You will be able to draw and label the structure of microsporangium, and you can appreciate the process of microsporogenesis. You can appreciate the pollen grain. You can appreciate about the viability of pollen grains. So let us start the discussion. What is flower? How can you define a flower? Flower is defined as the part of a plant that is often brightly colored and provides the pollen that is moved from plant to plant for pollination. Okay, so this is how you can define a flower. So flower, there is no about it that it is a part of a plant which may or may not be brightly colored, and they produce the pollen grains that move from one plant to other plant by a process called pollination. Okay, the seed bearing part of a plant consisting of reproductive organs, that is stamens and carpels, that are typically surrounded by a brightly colored corolla called petals and a green calyx called sepals. So this is another definition of a flower. Okay, so flower is the seed bearing part of a plant which consists of both reproductive parts and vegetative parts. So before going to the different processes like the fertilization, pre-fertilization, post-fertilization events, we should understand the different parts of the flower. So here is a typical flower. You can say it is a complete flower which has all the 4 holes. So the 4 holes of the flowers are from outer to inner: calyx, corolla, androecium and gynoecium. Okay, so here in this picture you can see this is the longitudinal section of a flower, and the part, the swollen part that is present at the base of the flower is called thalamus. Remember, this is called thalamus. And from this thalamus, the outermost hole of the flower is developed, that is called calyx, and individual members of this calyx are called sepals, that you have studied in class 11. Now inner to that, you can see just inner to the sepal, the big petals are there. Here you can see these are the petals. So these petals are together known as corolla. So corolla is the second innermost hole of a flower. Then next to corolla, what is the next hole? The next hole is androecium. Androecium is the male reproductive part, and then at the center the female reproductive part is present. So the innermost part is the female reproductive part, that is gynoecium. Okay. So these flowers are objects of aesthetic, ornamental, social, religious and cultural value. Now, so we'll discuss the structure of the flower and what are the events taking place in the flower before fertilization. As you know, fertilization is one of the most important feature, or you can say most important event in sexual reproduction. So before discussing the sexual reproduction in the flower, we should understand the pre-fertilization structures and the events. So let us see. In a flower, as I said, there are two types of parts. One is vegetative part and other is reproductive part. The reproductive part includes the androecium, that is the male reproductive part, and the gynoecium, that is the female reproductive part. Okay. Now the androecium consists of the stamens. The androecium consists of the stamens which are arranged in a hole. Okay. So actually what is constituting the androecium or the male reproductive part? The stamens. Okay. Similarly, the whole of carpels or pistils form a whole to form the gynoecium or the female reproductive part. Okay. Now, before fertilization, some hormonal and structural changes are initiated which leads to the differentiation and further development of the floral primordium. ओके सो अभी जो आपका एंड्रोसियम गाइनोसियम में जो आपका पिस्टिल है या एंड्रोसियम में जो स्टैमेन्स है they are not mature. Okay, but just before fertilization they get maturity. So how this is possible? This is possible due to hormonal and structural changes. Actually, because of the hormone, the structural changes takes place in these reproductive parts and they become mature. Okay. The inflorescence are formed which bears the floral buds and then the flowers that you know you have already studied in class 11. So here you can see this is the flower, this is the longitudinal section of a flower. Here very clearly you can see the structure of gynoecium and the androecium. The reproductive parts are clearly shown here. This is androecium on the right side, the androecium which is made up of the stamen. So this individual structure is known as stamen. So in the stamen you can see there is a filament, the stalk is known as filament, and there is a at the tip there is a structure present which is called anther. Okay, and it produces the pollen grain. Similarly, on the left side, you can see the female reproductive part, and as I said, the individual members of this female reproductive part or the gynoecium are carpels. So this is the structure of a carpel. So here in the carpel, you can see that it is divided into three parts: ovary, the lower bulb-like or swollen part is ovary, which contains the ovule, which in future develops into the seed. Then the stalk is known as style, and then there is a flattened structure or cushion-like structure that is called stigma. So I hope the structure of flower is very much clear to you, and especially the gynoecium and the androecium, that is the male and female reproductive parts, are very much clear to you. Now, we'll discuss the stamens first in details in this session, and what are the events taking place just before fertilization, that we'll discuss. So the stamen has two parts, as I said. It has a long and slender stalk called filament. The terminal, generally bilobed structure called the anther. So here in the diagram you can see this is the filament and this is the anther. So here this is the structure is highlighted here. It is magnified view. So here you can see the proximal end of the filament is attached to the thalamus. This is the proximal part of the filament that is attached to the thalamus. What is thalamus? I have shown you the lowermost and the swollen structure of the flower is called thalamus, from which actually the different holes of flowers are developed. Okay, so it is attached to the thalamus or to the petals of the flower. The number and length of the stamens are variable in flowers of different species. It is not always constant. In some cases, the flowers, the stamens are very small. In some cases, the stamens are very big. Even they are projecting out of the uh, flower and they are well exposed. Okay. So then come to the most important part of the stamen is the anther. So a typical angiosperm anther is bilobed and dithecous. So what do you mean by this? This means you can see that here this is the transverse section of a or three-dimensional cut section of a anther. This is the filament. So in the anther you can see it consists of two lobes. There are two lobes and here each lobe has a longitudinal groove. Okay, each lobe has a longitudinal groove and that forms two theca. Okay, each lobe consists of two chambers, that is theca. Okay, so a typical angiosperm anther is bilobed and dithecous, and that's why the anther, as you can see in the diagram, is a four-sided or tetragonal structure consisting of four microsporangia. So these are the microsporangia. Each chamber is called microsporangium. So altogether there are four microsporangia located at the corner. So these at four corner, four microsporangia are present. Okay. Now the microsporangia develop and become the pollen shape. So when the microsporangium, so this chamber develop and the cells present inside it becomes mature, they form the pollen shape. So often it comes in the exam, what is the difference between microsporangium and pollen shape? The simple answer, when the microsporangium is developed and the cells present inside it attains maturity, they are called pollen shells. Okay, and you can see that here some spherical structures are present. These are nothing but the pollen grains. So once the pollen sac is formed, means the pollen grains are present inside the pollen sac. Okay, so let us discuss the structure of microsporangium. So the structure of microsporangium, a typical microsporangium, is surrounded by four wall layers. Okay, and what are the four walls? As you can say, the outermost is epidermis, then below epidermis endothecium, then middle layer, and the innermost layer is tapetum. I am repeating, the microsporangium or the each chamber which in future develops into pollen sac is surrounded by four layers. Outermost is epidermis, below which the endothecium is present. Below endothecium, middle layer is present, and tapetum is the innermost layer. Okay. Now, in mature anther, when the anther attains maturity, the cells are present inside it are called sporogenous tissue. Okay, so here you can see these four layers. What is the, often it is asked in the exam as 2 marks question. Write the function of the layers, the outermost covering. What are the outermost layers of 4 layers of the covering of the anther, and what is their function? So here very clearly I have given you the epidermis, endothelium, middle layer. These 3 layers perform the function of protection and help in dehiscence of anther to release the pollen. इसका मतलब क्या है? प्रोटेक्शन तो आपको समझ में आ गया होगा, बट डेहिशंस मतलब क्या है? फट जाना. जब आपका जो पोलन चेक जब मैच्योर हो जाता है, तब ये लेयर जो है, 3 लेयर जो है वो फट जाता है, डेहिश हो जाता है, और उसके अंदर जो पोलन ग्रेन्स होते हैं, पोलेंस होते हैं, वो रिलीज हो जाते हैं. ठीक है. और सबसे इनरमोस्ट लेयर है आपका टैपेटम. उसका काम क्या है? इट नरिशेस द डेवलपिंग पोलन ग्रेन. ओके, and the speciality of this tapetum is that the cells of the tapetum possess dense cytoplasm and generally have more than one nucleus. So ये आपका बाइन्यूक्लिएटेड या फिर मल्टी न्यूक्लिएटेड होते हैं टैपेटम का जो सेल है, और इसमें क्योंकि ज्यादा साइटोप्लाज्म होता है, इसलिए ये नरिश करता है जो पोलन ग्रेन डेवलप हो रहा है स्पोरेंजियम के अंदर. इन इमैच्योर एंथर, जब एंथर मैच्योर नहीं होता, तब मतलब जब ये स्पोरेंजियम होता है, मतलब पोलन से आपका नहीं बना है, तो स्पोरेंजियम के अंदर होमोजेनस सेल्स आर प्रेजेंट. एक ही तरह का सेल्स होते हैं, एक ग्रुप ऑफ सेल्स आर प्रेजेंट, दैट इज कॉल्ड स्पोरोजेनस टिश्यू. So they occupy the center of each microsporangium. Okay, so anther जब immature होता है, तब sporangium कहा जाता है हर एक चैम्बर को. जब ये mature हो जाता है, sporangium becomes the pollen sac, and the sporogenous tissue becomes the pollen grain. So now let us see. In anther, the cells of the sporogenous tissue undergo meiotic division to form microspore tetrad, which is a potential pollen or microspore mother cell. So let me explain you. अभी आपका anther के अंदर क्या है? 2 लोब है, हर एक लोब में 2 थिक्का है, एक थिक्का में एक स्पोरेंजियम है. So together there are 4 sporangium. तो स्पोरेंजियम के अंदर क्या है आपका? स्पोरोजिनस टिश्यू. ये स्पोरोजिनस टिश्यू का जो सेल्स होते हैं, ये सेल meiotic डिवीजन करते हैं. meiotic डिवीजन you know, that is reduction division, you have studied in class 11. तो एक एक सेल से 4 सेल बनते हैं, और ये एक सेल से जो 4 सेल बनते हैं, उसको कहा जाता है माइक्रोस्पोर टेट्राड. टेट्राड मतलब 4. माइक्रोस्पोर छोटे 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 स्पोर की तरह दिखते हैं, उसको कहा जाता है माइक्रोस्पोर टेट्राड. ये डिवीजन के बाद ये 4 सेल जो है अलग नहीं होते, एक साथ रहते हैं, इसलिए उसको टेट्राड कहा जाता है, जो कि फ्यूचर में आपका पोलन ग्रेन होते हैं या फिर आपका माइक्रोस्पोर मदर सेल होते हैं. ठीक है. फिर माइक्रोस्पोर मदर सेल आपका पोलन ग्रेन में डेवलप होता है. ठीक है. तो द प्रोसेस ऑफ फॉर्मेशन ऑफ माइक्रोस्पोर फ्रॉम ए पोलन मदर सेल थ्रू मियोसिस इज कॉल्ड माइक्रोस्पोरोजेनेसिस. तो आपका स्पोरेंजियम के अंदर जो माइक्रोस्पोर था, माइक्रो होमोजेनस सेल्स थे उसके अंदर, वो अभी डेवलप होगा. डेवलप होने के बाद क्या होगा? पोलन मदर सेल होगा. सबसे पहले पोलन मदर सेल होगा. पोलन मदर सेल अभी डिवाइड करेगा बाय मियोसिस, और उसमें से आपका माइक्रोस्पोर टेट्राड बनेंगे। तो माइक्रोस्पोर टेट्राड किससे बनते हैं? स्पोरोजिनस टिश्यू का जो सेल है, हर एक सेल मैच्योरिटी अटेन करने के बाद उसको कहा जाएगा पोलन मदर सेल। पोलन मदर सेल में मियोसिस होगा, और क्योंकि मियोसिस से 4 डॉटर सेल, हैप्लॉइड डॉटर सेल प्रोड्यूस होते हैं, इसीलिए पोलन मदर सेल, जिसको पीएमसी भी हम बोल सकते हैं, उससे 4 माइक्रोस्पोर डेवलप होंगे। ओके, सो नाउ दिस माइक्रोस्पोर टेट्राड, they remain in a cluster of 4 cells, and by that time, जब तक ये माइक्रोस्पोर टेट्राड बनता है, तब क्या होता है, द एंथर मैच्योर्स एंड डिहाइड्रेट, उससे वो सूखने लगता है, एंथर मैच्योर हो जाता है और डिहाइड्रेशन होने लगता है। एंड द माइक्रोस्पोर, जो 4 माइक्रोस्पोर एक साथ थे, अभी एक दूसरे से अलग हो जाते हैं, और उसके बाद एक एक माइक्रोस्पोर एक एक पोलन ग्रेन में डेवलप हो जाते हैं। ठीक है, अभी पोलन ग्रेन बनने के बाद, पोलन ग्रेन किसके अंदर है अभी? once the pollen grains are formed, we will not tell the structure as sporangium, हम उसको क्या बोलेंगे? पोलन शेक। ओके, तो अभी एक आंथर के अंदर कितने पोलन शेक है? 4 पोलन शेक है, और एक एक पोलन शेक में काफी सारे पोलन ग्रेन्स है। नाउ डेहिशंस ऑफ आंथर, ये अभी क्या होगा, आपका आंथर ड्राई हो चुका है, डिहाइड्रेशन हो चुका है, और आपका पोलन ग्रेन बन चुके हैं। तो अभी जो आपका जो आंथर था, आंथर अभी बर्स्ट हो जाएगा। बर्स्ट होने के बाद आपके जो पोलन ग्रेन्स था इसके अंदर, वो सारे रिलीज हो जाएंगे। ठीक है, तो यहाँ मैं आपको ट्रांसफर सेक्शन दिखा देती हूँ एक मैच्योर आंथर का। जैसे आप देख सकते हैं यहाँ पर, ये एक ट्रांसफर सेक्शन है एंथर का। यहाँ दीज आर द 2 लोब्स, ये 2 लोब है, और 2 लोब में आप यहाँ देख सकते हैं ऐसे, आपका ये एक थिक्का है, ये एक थिक्का, ये एक थिक्का, ये एक थिक्का, तो एक लोब, यानी इस तरफ 2 थिक्का है, इस तरफ 2 थिक्का है। और मैंने आपको जैसे बताया था कि इसका 4 लेयर होते हैं, तो ये 4 लेयर यहाँ पर हाईलाइटेड है, आप यहाँ देख सकते हैं। आउटर मोस्ट लेयर इज एपिडर्मिस, बिलो व्हिच द एंडोथेशियम इज देयर। उसके बाद आपका मिडिल लेयर है, मिडिल लेयर एक या 2 लेयर का भी हो सकता है। उसके बाद सबसे इनर मोस्ट लेयर जो है टैपेटम है। आप टैपेटम में देख सकते हैं कि इसका साइटोप्लाज्म में इट इज वेरी डेंस एंड इट इज ऑफन मल्टीन्यूक्लिएटेड, ये टैपेटम है। इसके बाद टैपेटम के अंदर जो सेल है, आप ये सेल को देख सकते हैं, मेरा कर्सर जहां है, ये सारे सेल है माइक्रोस्पोर मदर सेल। ये एक मैच्योर एंथर है, इसीलिए यहाँ पर आपके माइक्रोस्पोर मदर सेल है। ओके, अदरवाइज यहाँ क्या होना चाहिए था? स्पोरोजिनस टिश्यू। ओके, अच्छा, अभी ये हो गया आपका आंथर का स्ट्रक्चर। ये एक स्पोरांजियम, यानी जो हम आपको बताए कि 4 स्पोरांजियम होते हैं, ये एक स्पोरांजियम का स्ट्रक्चर है। नेक्स्ट हम देखेंगे माइक्रोस्पोरोजेनेसिस, यानी माइक्रोस्पोर मदर सेल से माइक्रोस्पोर, आपको जो माइक्रोस्पोर टेट्राड बताए वो कैसे बनता है। देखिए, आपका ये स्पोरांजियम के अंदर जो सेल्स होते हैं उसको कहा जाता है स्पोरोजिनस टिश्यू। ठीक है, स्पोरोजिनस टिश्यू का एक एक सेल जब मैच्योर हो जाता है, मैच्योर सेल को हम बोलते हैं माइक्रोस्पोर मदर सेल। तो ये रहा आपका एक माइक्रोस्पोर मदर सेल, जिसमें कि काफी साइटोप्लाज्म है और न्यूक्लियस भी प्रोमिनेंट है। अभी इसमें मियोसिस होता है। फर्स्ट मियोसिस होने के बाद ये क्या होता है, आपका 2 सेल में डिवाइड होता है, इसको कहा जाता है माइक्रोस्पोर डायड। उसके बाद माइक्रोस्पोर डायड का हर एक सेल फिर से डिवाइड होता है, दैट इज कॉल्ड मियोसिस 2, और यहाँ पर आपका 4 सेल बन चुका है। तो अभी माइक्रोस्पोर मदर सेल से, एक माइक्रोस्पोर मदर सेल से कितने माइक्रोस्पोर बने? 4 माइक्रोस्पोर बने, लेकिन दे आर क्लस्टर टुगेदर, एक साथ है, इसीलिए हम उसको माइक्रोस्पोर टेट्राड बोलेंगे। सो व्हाट इज माइक्रोस्पोरोसिस? It is the process of formation of the microspore tetrad from the microspore mother cell by meiosis. अभी हम देखेंगे एक डेहिस्ट एंथर। ये देखिए यहाँ पर आपका माइक्रोस्पोर मदर सेल से माइक्रोस्पोर बन चुके हैं और माइक्रोस्पोर से पोलन ग्रेन भी बन चुके हैं। अभी हम इसके बाद पढ़ेंगे कि माइक्रोस्पोर से पोलन ग्रेन कैसे बनता है, वो भी हम पढ़ेंगे। तो यहाँ आप देख सकते हैं कि इस पिक्चर में आपका जो स्पोरेंजियम था या पोलन शेक था, उसके अंदर काफी सारे पोलन ग्रेन है और ये जो मेम्ब्रेन थे, ये मेम्ब्रेन ड्राई हो गया। ड्राई होने के बाद यहाँ से बर्स्ट हो गया एंड एज सून एज इट बर्स्ट the dehiscence, the anther dehiscence. This is called dehiscence of anther. Okay, the breaking of the membrane is called dehiscence of the anther, and now the pollen grains are released. And once the pollen grains are released, they can be carried by wind or water or any agent to other plants. Okay, so this is the picture of a dehisced anther. Now let us see how the microspore mature into a pollen grain. So I have told you that from the microspore mother cell, single microspore mother cell, 4 microspore, that is microspore tetrad is produced. They are intact, but now the each microspore develops into a pollen grain. So let us see how the process takes place. So the first diagram that you can see, it is a microspore. Let us take out of the 4 microspore, let us take one microspore. So one microspore, when it attains maturity, it develops vacuole inside it. That cytoplasm becomes dense and the nucleus becomes prominent. In the second diagram, you can see. Now come to the third diagram. Here, the vacuole is enlarged and cytoplasm is more dense and the cell is now ready to divide. Now here you can see that the chromosomal material is dividing. In the third picture you can see the chromosomal material is dividing, and this division takes place by the formation of asymmetric spindle. Asymmetric spindle मतलब क्या है? यहाँ you know that the spindle fiber का काम क्या है cell division में? To hold the chromosome in position. तो ये asymmetric spindle जो है, एक तरफ जो स्पिंडल बनता है वो छोटे साइज का होता है और एक तरफ जो स्पिंडल होता है वो बड़े साइज का होता है, जिसके वजह से ये जब डिवाइड होता है ये सेल, आप देख सकते हैं in the final stage 2 cells are produced. One is smaller one and another is bigger one. Actually, the bigger cell is the vegetative cell and the generative cell, which is the smaller one, is floating inside it. Am I clear? So, what is the step? These are the stages of maturation of microspore into pollen grain. So, first the microspore, out of the 4 microspore, we have taken one microspore. The microspore, it grows in size, develops vacuoles, cytoplasm becomes dense, nucleus becomes prominent. Then the nuclear material divides by the formation of asymmetric spindle, so that one cell will become bigger and other cell will become smaller, and because the chromosome of one uh, side will migrate less distance, whereas the other side will migrate more distance. So then it forms the pollen grain. Now this is the pollen grain. Now the microspore has been developed into the pollen grain, which consists of 2 cells. The bigger cell is vegetative cell, inside which the small cell is floating, that is called generative cell. This pollen grain represents the male gametophyte. Very, very important. It comes as 1 mark question, and they are of variety of architecture. They vary from flower to flower, plants to plant, their size, shape, color, design. everything varies, and their size is measuring about 25 to 50 micrometer in diameter, and it has if you look into the structure of this pollen grain, it has a prominent two layered wall. The outer layer is exine, which is made up of sporopollenin, very important. The pollen grain is surrounded by a two layered wall. The outermost wall is exine, which is made up of sporopollenin. And what is the speciality of sporopollenin? The sporopollenin is most resistant organic material known, and it is resistant to high temperature, strong acids, alkali, and even enzymes. Okay, now what is the next layer? As I said, there are two wall. So outer wall is exine, the inner wall is intine. The inner wall of the pollen grain, it is thin, continuous layer made up of cellulose and pectin. So here different types of pollen grains are there. The picture are there. They are of different shapes. Size is also varying. So the innermost layer, the intine, is made up of cellulose and pectin, and it is thin. In the besides these two layers, at some places, the exine is not continuous. So here the outermost covering, you can see it is the outermost covering, that is exine, below which the intine is present. But often that exine is not continuous. At places, the sporopollenin is absent, or the exine is absent. Okay, and that part is called germ pore. I'll show you the diagram so that it will be very much clear to you. Now, the what is the internal structure of pollen? So, the externally it is surrounded by two layers, that is exine, intine, and exine is not continuous. At places, the exine is absent, only intine is present, and that portion is called germ pore. In a mature pollen grain, there are two cells. As I have shown you, vegetative cell, the bigger one, and the generative cell, that is small one. The vegetative cell is bigger and has abundant food reserve and a large irregularly shaped nucleus. Okay, vegetative cell is bigger, large amount of food is present, and nucleus is irregularly shaped. The other nucleus, other cell is a small one, and it floats in the cytoplasm of the vegetative cell, and it is usually spindle shaped with a dense cytoplasm and a nucleus. So this point is very important. In over 60% of angiosperms, pollen grains are shed at two cell stage. That means when the pollen grain releases from the anther, they have two cells, that is vegetative cell and generative cell. But in rest 40% angiosperms, the generative cell divides mitotically to give rise to two male gametes. So, in 40% of the angiosperm, the pollen grain that is released from the anther is having three cells. What are the three cells? Vegetative cell and two male gametes. Instead of generative cell, two male gametes are present because the generative cell is divided into two male gametes. So, in two cell stage, what are the two cells? The two cells are the vegetative cell and generative cell, and in three cell stage, there are two generative cell and one vegetative cell. So, this one we have already discussed, how the microspore develops into a pollen grain. So, here you can see the picture. So, let us see. This is a mature pollen grain, and as I said, it has a two layered covering, two wall covering. outermost is exine, which is thick and very hard, and because of it is made up of sporopollenin, and as I said, they are resistant to high alkali, strong acid, and high temperature, even to the enzymes. So because of this reason, presence of sporopollenin, this can be preserved as fossil. Very, very important question. Why the pollen grain can be preserved as fossil? Because the answer is because it is made of the covered by axine, which is made up of sporopollenin, which is highly resistant to strong acid, strong alkali, high temperature, and enzymes. Now below the axine, you can see the thin layer. My cursor is there. That is intine, which is made up of cellulose and pectin. Now come to the interior of the this pollen grain. Inside it, you can see it is a big cell, and there is a big nucleus. This is called tube nucleus, and this big cell is called tube cell or vegetative cell. The vegetative cell or tube cell, in which a generative cell, you can see at this corner, a small spindle shaped cell is floating. This is called generative cell. Now, I was talking about the 3-cell stage and 2-cell stage of the pollen grain. In 60%, this 2-celled pollen grain is released. So, what are these 2 cells? Here you can see as your axine and intines are present, and what are the 2 cells? The generative cell and the vegetative cell. The blue color is vegetative cell, vegetative cells nucleus, and the black one is the generative cells nucleus. So here only 2 cells are present, vegetative and generative cell. But in the 3-cell stage, you can see the vegetative cell is there. In the vegetative cell, 2 male gametes are there, which are also called sperm cells. Okay. So in 40% of angiosperm plants, this stage is there. Now, how pollen grains or pollen are important for the human being? Pollen grains may cause chronic respiratory disorders like asthma, bronchitis, etc. That is, that causes allergy in our respiratory tract. The pollen grains, when comes to our respiratory tract, it causes bronchitis and asthma. For example, parthenium or carrot grass that causes pollen allergy. Okay, but this is the harmful effect of this pollen grain on our body. But what is the beneficial use of pollen grains? In what way the pollen grains are useful for us? The pollen grains are rich in nutrients. Use of pollen tablets as food supplements is common, and the pollen products in the form of tablets and syrups are also taken by human beings. Pollen is claimed to increase the performance of the athletes and race horses. You know, since this is rich in nutrient and rich with food supplement, it can provide instant energy. So that's why the pollen tablets are fed to the horses, race horses, and sometimes the athletes are also taking these pollen tablets to increase the performance instantly. So here you can see that is the bee pollen. Okay, so from the pollen these tablets are prepared. Now viability of pollen grains. When once they are shed, the pollen grains are shed from the anther, the pollen grains have to land on the stigma before they lose the viability. Viability मतलब क्या है? अपना जो रिप्रोड्यूस करने का कैपेसिटी होता है उसको कहा जाता है viability. तो viability होते हुए इसको जो फीमेल रिप्रोडक्टिव पार्ट है उसके ऊपर गिरना है ताकि फर्टिलाइजेशन टाइम पर हो जाए. ठीक है, तो ये वायबिलिटी पीरियड कितना है, कितने दिन तक ये जिंदा रह सकता है पोलन ग्रेन? So let us see what is the period of viability. They are highly variable and to some extent depend on the prevailing temperature and humidity. Even though pollen grains are resistant to the humidity and the temperature, still then in some cases it is depending upon its viability depends upon the temperature and humidity. So in some cereals like rice and wheat, pollen grains lose viability within 30 minutes. So once they are released, they should be landed on the stigma. Though that's why the cereals and rice, wheat, these crops are crowded. They are shown in such a way that the plants should be very close to each other. So that once the pollen grain will release, that should fall on the stigma of the other plant or of the same plant. So in some members of like Rosaceae family, Leguminaceae family and Solanaceae, they maintain viability for months together. महीनों तक रह सकते हैं. ठीक है. तो इसी तरह उनका जो viability है that depends, that varies. But besides that, artificially we can preserve the pollen grain for transportation or for future use. Then how to preserve it? इसको हम preserve कैसे करेंगे? There is a method called cryopreservation. What is cryopreservation? It is the preserving anything at very cold temperature. Preserving anything at cold temperature is called cryopreservation. So here the pollen grains um, uh, are in large number stored in liquid nitrogen whose temperature is minus 196 degrees Celsius. So in such a low temperature, the pollen grains are stored, or the that is seeds are also stored, and for breeding program, for future program or for research purpose, these pollen grains can be used. So in this session what we have discussed, let us just recapitulate or summarize. So first we discussed the different parts of the flower, that is the male part is androecium, female part is gynoecium. The androecium consists of the stamens, gynoecium consists of the pistils, and now in the pre-fertilization structures and events we discussed about the stamens and the pistils. Then the stamens, uh, a typical angiosperm anther is bilobed and diathecous. The microsporangia develops and become pollen-shaped, extend longitudinally through the length and are packed with pollen grains. And anther is surrounded by a four-wall layer. The outermost three layer, that is epidermis, endothecium, middle layer, are protective in nature and they help in digestion. The innermost layer is tapetum that provides nourishment to the developing pollen grains. Now the microsporangium contains homogeneous cells called sporogenous tissue. The cells of this sporogenous tissue, when mature, they form the microspore mother cell. The microspore mother cell develops into microspore by the process of meiosis. That process is called microsporogenesis. Now this by microsporogenesis, the microspore tetrad are produced. Now each of the microspore tetrad, each microspore now develops into pollen grain. The pollen grain has a two-layered wall, that is exine and intine. Exine is very hard, made up of sporopollenin, whereas intine is very thin and it is made up of cellulose and pectin. A mature pollen grain has two cells. One is vegetative cell, bigger cell, the in the cytoplasm of which the generative cell is floating. Uh, the pollen grain and human being, where we also discussed about this, how the pollen grains causes allergy in human being. Especially here we have studied the example of carrot grass, and the viability of pollen grain also we discussed. That is, in some cases the pollen grains are they can their life can last up to 30 minutes only, like wheat and rice, maize. But in other cases, uh, they can live for months together, and at the end we discussed how to preserve these pollen grains, that is cryopreservation. So hope you understand the whole process and the male reproductive part of the flower, microsporogenesis, and how the microspore develops into the pollen grain. So let us look for our next topic: structure of microsporangium, microsporogenesis, pollen grain, ability of pollen grains. So these topics will be discussed in our next session. Keep watching. Thank you. Thank you for watching this video.